Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. So, welcome today to our sharing session with Dr. Noraini. So, without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Noraini for the sharing session on how to constructively align your course assessment during multiple choice question with Bloom taxonomy, the do's and the don'ts. So, please, Dr. Noraini, I pass it to you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Good morning, everyone. So first and foremost, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Sharin Hazlin because she's willing to become my moderator, my partner in crime for today's sharing session. Okay. So let's go to directly to our sharing session. Okay. So our topic for today, as introduced by Dr. Sharin, will be on the how you want to develop your multiple choice questions that will be generically aligned with the constructive alignment, where we have this constructive alignment approach or technique that should be embedded when we want to develop our course assessment. Okay, when you want to develop your multiple choice question to assess or to evaluate your student achievement, okay, we need to apply to the defined cognitive skill or whatever the cognitive, psychomotor, and as well as the affective. But in the case of assessment using multiple choice question, we do have alignment with cognitive skill for the Bloom taxonomy. So this sharing will be on the do's and don'ts. It's not a very specific one because at the first, we wish to have the session as a closed session for my team, system analysis and design course for this semester, to come out with the step-by-step in doing, in creating the MCQ for our course. But then when I talk to others, they request, why not you open to others as well to learn about this. Okay, again, I want to claim first lah, okay, I'm not the expert person actually in assessment, because multiple choice question basically is kind of assessment that should be really extensively research ataupun kita invent betul-betul lah sebenarnya bila kita buat as course assessment. Okay, so I'm not the expert, but this sharing today is basically from my previous experience, okay, from the many semester previously that I have implement the MCQ, multiple choice question, as formative assessment during my teaching and learning. But last semester, during early COVID-19 pandemic, we officially, okay, use this MCQ for our course assessment. Okay, so I would like first to thank my team, my previous team, SCSJ 2253, requirement engineering and software modeling team, to Dr. Razia and Dr. Shaliza, because without them I couldn't contribute my idea, my experience today. Okay, because my team in SCSJ 2253 last semester compile the set of MCQ question for our course, and we do review and revise by peer reviewing when we try to implement to the online platform using Moodle e-learning, and then we do discuss. Okay, so today's content basically comes from their contribution as well. Okay, some of the slides, some of the ideas, some of the statement in this sharing session, I directly quote and copy and paste, okay, from this assessment expert. Boleh nampak kan saya punya mouse? Okay, so basically masa saya nak buat sharing ni, saya refer lah, saya ada discuss dengan my fellow friend from CEE, okay, which is Dr. Yudaria, and also I discussed with Dr. Rohaya, Dr. Adiba from School of Education. Okay, I do have communicate with Dr. Lim Biling, okay, from Unimap, because I use her slide, I use her introduction for the do and don'ts. Okay, and when I start to prepare my sharing slide last week, one of the team members in online task force, UTM task force, okay, share about Prof. Karim, okay, regarding the how to apply or embed higher order thinking skills in MCQ. Okay, so this credit, okay, I dedicate to the expert, so that don't overclaim me. I'm not the expert one for assessment in assessment area. Okay, so I would like to know demographically regarding my participant today. Can you go to the menti.com using your device? Okay, so you have menti.com. Can you use the code 4307935? Okay, I would like to know your background because I can leverage my expectation to the participants information. So can you go to Mentimeter? Apa yang kosong? Saya tengok dekat chat ni. Okay. Okay, I have 41. Two participant is basically me. Okay, I have 41, but 12 participants attempt the question. Okay. I would like to know further about your background, your experience in MCQ, so that I can deliver my sharing appropriately. Okay. Ramai juga yang tahu. Okay. The blue one, 5 participants, 5% apply MCQ most of times. But maybe we just create or craft the MCQ without the alignment to the Bloom taxonomy. Yeah, am I right? Okay, saya bagi masa lagi 5 second. 1 minute lah. Cepat sangat 5 second. Okay, we have 45 now. Okay. So for those that just joined the meeting, okay, can you go to menti.com, enter the code 4307935. Okay. I should welcome those 5% that never applied MCQ before. Okay, this is going to be very basic actually. The first agenda for this sharing session will be the basic on how to develop the MCQ. Ramai yang apply dah sebenarnya. Dr. Azri ada masalah ya untuk ni, tengok skrin. Okay, so saya boleh kata most of you actually but familiar with MCQ type of questions in course assessment. Okay, tapi ada juga lah yang ni, 2 orang ni yang memang tak pernah pakai lagi ni right. So from that, I would like to further know what is your expectation actually for today's sharing session. Can you go to again menti.com? So this going to be our course outcome lah hari ni, senang kata. What you feel, what you state will become our learning outcome for this sharing session. Okay, so I give 1 minute. How to design question, okay, align with Bloom. So saya nampak HOTS kat sini banyak juga. Ada berapa orang ni jawab HOTS ni. Dia nak tahu tentang tool tapi untuk sesi kali ni saya tak ada I'm not going to describe in details about what are the tools lah. Okay, sebab kalau tak kita dah tak cukup masa Okay, so align with Bloom, okay, align with Bloom. Constructive alignment pun ada juga nak tahu sebab saya sebut tadi kot constructive alignment as introduction kan. Okay, craft proper MCQ. Mungkin lah saya pun sebenarnya bila buat sharing ni sebenarnya baru betul-betul study lah what is actually the pitfall that we perform for last semester punya soalan kan. Okay, so it's actually saya rasa kena banyakkan lagi lah exposure dan juga discussion about the proper way in crafting the MCQ. Calculate item for struct. I'm not sure about that. For struct, apa tu? Okay, ramai yang nak tahu tentang align with Bloom. When we have this alignment, MCQ alignment with Bloom, definitely it relate to the constructive alignment. Okay, because when we apply constructive alignment in our teaching and learning, the assessment in constructive alignment components, which is other assessment, should be aligned with the targeted Bloom. Okay, and then whatever the activities that we want to create so that the student can answer the MCQ Bloom level should be designed. Okay, randomized question. Randomized question ni pun saya tak tunjukkan untuk hari ni sebab dia berkait tentang implementation lah. Dia practical. Tapi saya boleh tunjukkan sekali lalu lah. How to create HOTS question, okay? HOTS question, yes. This is the pitfall lah sebenarnya dekat before ni di School of Computing lah. Saya bagi contoh, we lack of exposure about hot and lot and HOTS specification of questions tau. Tapi bila pandemic last semester kita tahu rupanya bila kita buat question kita kena ada 50% lot, 50% hot kan. Okay, the coverage for undergrad lah. Okay, saya rasa okay lah tu. So basically ramai yang nak tahu macam mana nak buat alignment pasal Bloom ni lah. Okay, so you prepare previously you have you already try to craft your multiple choice question. but yet how to align with the Bloom levels. Okay, so saya nampak hot. Okay, so saya boleh faham lah you all memang berada di sharing yang betul lah, session yang betul. Okay, so for from the previous expectation from you guys, okay, so this is basically what I'm going to share with you. Saya akan explain on the what, okay, what is the basic and also the good practice to design and develop course assessment using multiple choice questions according to the outcome based education lah, dan juga constructive alignment approach, okay. And then from the, after you understand what are the basics, what are the do and don'ts when you want to develop your course assessment using multiple choice question, then we will have this second agenda where you going to align your prepared your design or your targeted MCQ with Bloom taxonomy. Okay, so again saya nak tahu sahaja sebab saya akan bagi contoh selepas ni berkaitan dengan soalan yang saya tanya dekat menti ni. So which following types of exam you frequently use in assessment? Okay, saya cuba nak dapatkan demographic info je tentang participant. So can you fill in? Oh, structure question. Adila, saya pun tak pandai, saya pun belajar juga. Dr. Adila. Dia tak tunjukkan percentage pula ya. Dia tak setkan. I think the majority of subjective type is because you apply open kan, open book dan juga ni lah take home exam. So majority mungkin dengan bila you masuk sharing session ni maybe boleh bertukar fikiran lah nak gunakan MCQ, nak gunakan objective type. How many participants already? 53. Okay, so we have 23 vote. Betul Dr. Muzaffar nak pakai MCQ juga. Mungkin Dr. Muzaffar boleh unmute kot. Kenapa you nak pakai MCQ Sam ni?
Saya rasa dia lebih mudah lah Dr. Nuraini untuk marking kan. Sebab student saya kebetulan Sam ni saya banyak ajar section yang banyak dan ramai.
Okay, that is one of the reason lah kenapa kita pakai MCQ kan. Okay, so just to recap, okay, daripada yang kita ada 50 lebih tadi, okay, only 23 participate, but it's okay, maybe ramai yang nak dengar je, okay, tak nak participate. Okay, majority banyak yang gunakan subjektif, for example structure dan juga essay. Tapi tak kurang jugalah yang gunakan objektif. So saya rasa mungkin you join the session today because you want to venture more lah, you want to know more about how to implement kan. Kita tahu, kita biasa develop the question MCQ, but we want to further kita kata systematic dan juga kita nak tahu lebih baik lah macam mana crafting kita tu tadi. Okay, so back just want to recap because again as I mentioned earlier, this session should be the close session for my team, system analysis and design, tapi saya try to share with others lah. Okay, because some of my team members kat dalam subjek ni ada yang baru lagi. Okay, so normally in Malaysia, okay, we apply outcome based education. okay, when we perform our programs in the UTM especially. Okay, so kalau tengok dekat sini, assessment is basically the important part in outcome-based education, where when you conduct, you have your curriculum design, okay, you deliver your curriculum. After you deliver the curriculum, okay, the assessment will take place, okay, during delivery of your curriculum. Okay, from the assessment, the data will be used to improve the design for existing curriculum, and we will revise the curriculum for betterment. Okay, so kalau tengok dekat gambar yang bawah ni pula, kecil sebab patutnya saya besarkan, tapi bila dia masuk Mentimeter ni dia shrink pula. Okay, but it's okay. In outcome based education, okay, we have this program objective, okay, where this program objective, for example, for School of Computing, for my school, okay, we have software engineering program. So this software engineering program, okay, the objective is basically aligned with the alumni, okay, the missions, visions of university, okay, and the related stakeholders, okay, as well as the advisory industry advisory committee. So the objective of the program should align with this particular roles. Lepas tu bila kita ada program objektif, we will align, we will specify further the outcomes that should be delivered, that should be achieved by the students. Okay, so we have in software engineering program, there will be many courses. So each courses will have their own course outcomes. So each course outcomes, okay, should be then validate, ataupun kita nak macam mana kita nak tahu student tu achieve the course outcome, by kita bagi dia assessment lah. Okay, from the assessment that we conduct to our course, for our student course, okay, student in our course, okay, we will analyze the results from the assessment. Contohnya kalau saya ada sekarang ni System Analysis and Design course, okay, there are 3 course outcomes, and then I give assessment. I have formative and summative assessment. At the end of the semester, it's not at the end of the semester, while delivering my course for that particular semester, I need to analyze further. Okay, what are the feedback, what are the questions, what are the improvement that can be made to the course outcome, so that it achieve certain level of expectation. So biasanya kita dekat School of Computing, kita kata kalau 65%, so maksudnya course outcome tu dah mencapai lah. Okay, that is outcome based education. Okay, so in outcome based education, dia ada satu lagi terms ataupun konsep lah. So when we deliver our course, okay, you need to ensure that the design, the crafted learning outcome tadi, course outcome dekat sini tadi, course outcome, okay. Okay, so when we have constructive alignment, kita kata apa, paradigm lah constructive alignment, we need to align the specified learning outcome that we want the learners to know with the assessment that we going to perform to the students, so that we know how much the student have learned. Okay, and then the assessment should be also aligned with the good teaching and learning activity. Okay, so this is basically the constructive alignment concept. Okay, that we need to know when we want to first construct the assessment. Okay, so for example here we have the multiple choice question as a formative or summative assessment. Okay, so that assessment, the MCQ that we generate for the assessment, okay, should be then aligned to the earlier specified learning outcome that we have in the course information. Okay, and make sure that you do design the related or the suitable, the appropriate teaching and learning activity, so that whatever the assessment you specified, you expected, okay, is can be carried out, can be performed through the correct teaching and learning activity. Okay, saya bagi contoh, katakanlah dekat learning outcomes, kita nak pelajar kita understand how to design, bukan understand lah, kita kata they able to analyze some level of concept. Okay, so the assessment should be tally to the analyzing. Okay, jadi jangan kita expect learning outcome kita dia nak analyze, tapi kita punya assessment tak reach to the level of analyzing tadi. Therefore, back to the teaching and learning activity pula. So we must craft our instructional activities during class, during classroom punya environment. Activity tu membantu pelajar untuk buat assessment tadi lah. Okay, itu maksud dia. So saya rasa ni lecturer UTM dah well versed lah tentang constructive alignment. Okay, and again sebab tadi kita ada assessment kat sini. Okay, this is a very basic one. Okay, we have two types of assessment, formative dan juga summative. I'm not going to differentiate lah what is assessment, what is evaluation kan. So ni kena pergi kursus assessment lah, then you can have more insight on the difference between assessment dan juga evaluation. Tapi in this in today's sharing, we'll talk about multiple choice question as one technique to conduct summative or formative assessment. Okay, so saya rasa ada yang tak clear tentang formative dan summative, boleh interrupt saya lah. Okay, right. So formative ni biasanya untuk kita, sekejap ya. So kalau tengok dekat situ, formative assessment normally is basically the type of assessment that we want to increase the quality of student achievement. Okay, where we require students to submit, to perform the assessment, then we give continuous feedback. Okay, in order to improve their achievement lah, their understanding towards achieving the learning outcome tadi. Okay, so kalau summative biasanya kita nak judge the quality. Maksudnya at the end of the semester student ni capai apa. Okay, so dia macam grading purpose lah. Okay, so formative ni lebih saya boleh kata summative ni untuk individual evaluation. Sebab tu kalau kita buat projek, kita boleh kata projek tu ialah formative. Tetapi bila kita buat MCQ ni, soalan MCQ ni biasanya dia jadi summative lah. Dia jadi summative sebab we want to give individual evaluation to assess student ability, okay, towards achieving the learning outcome tadi. Okay, so summative saya boleh kata, tapi again MCQ can be used as formative assessment when you conduct as in-class activities. Tapi kalau you buat macam kita nak buat exam, online exam ataupun kita nak buat exam lah using MCQ, then we give grade, that is summative. Okay, so that's why saya kata MCQ boleh jadi formative dan juga summative. Okay, so we go to the first part of this sharing session where it covers on MCQ basic and good practices lah. Ini ramai yang nak tahu tadi kan. Ada yang nak tahu tentang saya sorry. Okay, so we go to the first part, okay, on the basic and how to what are the do's and don'ts in crafting the MCQ. Okay, yes, summative is individual assessment. Correct, Dr. Sharin. Okay, so what is MCQ? Okay, saya cakap MCQ, harap semua dah boleh akronimkan multiple choice question tu. Okay, so perasan tak tadi saya ada tanya what kind of evaluation of exam question that normally you give to your student kan? Saya kata adakah dia objektif ataupun adakah dia subjektif. Okay, so MCQ is basically one type of objective question. where it provides learner to a list of options of answer being provided. Okay, so MCQ lah objective question regardless yang tadi dia ada true and false, dia ada pair, dia ada apa lagi, fill in the blanks, itu pun MCQ juga, itu juga adalah objektif, tetapi kita sekarang kita nak cover on MCQ, multiple choice question, atau dalam bahasa Malaysia dia adalah aneka pilihan, soalan aneka pilihan. Okay, itu dia punya ni lah. Right, so ini bagaimana kita nak buat, how to develop the MCQ. Okay, so basically there are three components the anatomy of MCQ. Okay, senang kata dia adalah parts lah. Bila ada MCQ, we want to develop MCQ, these three components is the important component lah dekat dalam MCQ. We have this STEM. Okay, so STEM is basically okay, so MCQ dia consists of STEM, answer dan juga distractor. So STEM is basically the problem. Okay, the problem that you want to ask to the learner. Okay, where that question, that problem should suggest some solutions where it known as alternative. This alternative can be correct or the best alternative, okay, which is the answer. Then the incorrect or the inferior alternative known as distractor. Kan? Macam kompleks je Dr. Nuraini ni tapi sebenarnya senang je, tak ada apa pun. Dia anatomi dia macam canggih tapi sebenarnya ini je. Kalau kita nak ambil contoh, okay, this is MCQ. STEM tadi is the problem or the question that you want to ask. Okay, you provide list of options, multiple options as answer. Okay, but there will be one key of best alternative, which is the correct answer, and the rest, okay, yang color purple tu, light purple tu is the distractor, the incorrect one. Okay, kalau kita ada banyak, boleh tak saya nak tanya balik, boleh tak kita ada banyak various multiple set of options? Boleh. Kalau A, B, C, D, E, F pun boleh. Tapi bergantung pada STEM tu lah tadi lah. Kan? Kalau kata distractor kita terlalu distract pun, lepas tu dia tak function pun tak sesuai lah kita letakkan dia sebagai alternatif. Okay, so distractor ni kalau boleh ada the good one, one distractor as the closest alternative to the correct answer. Tu another do lah yang kita boleh masukkan. Tapi ni sebenarnya teori senang, tapi bila kita nak buat betul-betul lah untuk higher education kat university level lah, especially bila content domain specific question untuk subjek kita, actually MCQ ni dia senang tanda je, nak buat susah sebenarnya Okay, saya bagi contoh Dr. Adibah lah. Dr. Adibah sebagai pakar assessment kat dalam UTM kan. Ni slide ni pun saya ambil daripada slide beliau. Okay, kalau tengok tadi contoh yang tadi, this is very basic where you have STEM, answer options kat dalam kotak hijau. Lepas tu ada key alternative ataupun correct answer, and then you ada distractor. Tapi kalau you tengok ni, daripada soalan ni, okay, dia ada STEM, lepas tu dia ada list of option of answer, lepas tu dia ada key yang dia warnakan dengan merah, distractor, dan dia juga ada rangsangan. Saya tak tahu term education ni dia panggil rangsangan. Tapi maksudnya kita letak we further describe lah our STEM tadi dengan letak diagram lah ataupun kita illustrate further. Okay, so that gambaran tentang soalan itu lebih jelas. Okay, so clear we have STEM, okay, we have one question consists of STEM as the problem that you want to ask to your learner. Okay, that problems should be evaluated by list of options. The list of options, okay, consists key answer, correct answer, and maybe alternative of incorrect answer which known as distractor. Okay, so boleh identify tak? Boleh identify, boleh letak kat chat lah sebab saya tak sempat tadi nak set dekat Mentimeter ni. Okay, so nombor 1 ni apa? Nombor 2 ni apa? Okay, nombor 3 ni apa? Nombor 4 ni apa? So number 1, tadi kan kita ada 4 komponen. There are 4 main components. The anatomy of MCQ. Tak sempat nak buat survey tadi kan? Okay, STEM. Kena belajar lah ni Cik Anita. Ramai dah tu. Nampak dah masuk lah ilmu tu Okay. Distractor. Okay, betul. Pandai dah. Dah boleh cuba. Okay, so you all dah tahu dah tadi the anatomy, the parts of MCQ. Okay, so why actually we want to have this MCQ type for the course assessment. Okay, this is from, saya tengok, saya memang ambil daripada Dr. Lim lah, dia punya slide on the benefits. Dia kata advantage dengan disadvantage. Okay, this is memang betul daripada our previous experience last semester when we conduct MCQ for requirements engineering and software modeling course, where when we have this multiple choice question, it allow us to automated marking. Yalah, sebab soalan kita dah buat, lepas tu kita up to the upload kat dalam e-learning, lepas tu bila student sit test terus dapatkan marking kan. Senang lah. Okay, and definitely we get the instant results. Okay, but you still when you conduct the exam for MCQ, you need to have some settings lah, so that student don't get instantly, promptly feedback. Kalau tak nanti, contohnya saya kata we have this MCQ exam test, ada 30 minit tapi student jawab cepat kan, 50 minit dah siap. Lepas tu kita lupa set dekat kita punya e-learning, dekat Moodle kita. Lepas tu dia boleh dapat terus jawapan betul salah, feedback terus dapat. So kawan dia yang tak habis lagi boleh tanya dan dia boleh bagi jawapan. Tu satulah, kita rasa dia cepat tapi kalau kita tak pandai nak setting, dia menyebabkan kesukaran pada kita jugalah later on. Another good things about MCQ is you can cover lot of areas in your topics. Sebenarnya kalau bila buat MCQ, sebenarnya every single kan kita, we have this course, for one course we have topics, in one topic we have subtopics. So every single subtopics definition, theory, calculation, you can apply and craft the multiple choice question for that single unit for your lesson. Okay, tapi kadang-kadang kalau kita buat subjektif, kita ada benda yang kita tak boleh nak cover lah dalam soalan. Okay, definitely yang terakhir dia bagus MCQ ni because no bias lah. Kalau kata macam subjektif kan, kita marking kan, kita based on, memang ada rubrik tapi rubrik tu pun kita customize contohnya. So maybe boleh contribute to the bias lah kan. Tapi kalau objektif ni, bila MCQ, the answer is definite. Itulah answer dia, tak ada jawapan yang lain kecuali kita salah set. Okay, but okay, regardless the pros in having MCQ as course assessment, dia sebenarnya time consuming to create MCQ. Tapi bila nak menanda lebih susah, saya rasa baiklah kita buat susah dahulu kan, senang kemudian. Okay, you don't get the qualitative data when you conduct MCQ. But kalau kata you use multiple choice question for formative, for example like I'm doing now, saya bagi soalan kat Kahoot ataupun Quizizz, dia ada analytic information, analytic daripada lepas student siap and the quiz. Okay, Kahoot will give me some analytic perspective. This student setkan answer successfully this question Lepas tu dia boleh generate soalan mana yang susah, budak-budak tak boleh, berapa persen soalan yang susah dan sebagainya. Sebenarnya boleh kalau kita buat guna Kahoot, guna Quizizz lah. Tapi kalau kat Moodle tu tak boleh. Okay, sebenarnya tak adalah nak kata tak boleh dapat kualitatif, tapi for the sake of summative purposes, biasa kita ambil dia sebagai quantitative data sajalah. Okay, lagi satu, dia tak study pun, katakanlah dia tak habis cover lagi kan, belajar buat revision, student might get correct answer just by lucky guesses. Tu kenapalah MCQ dia punya one of the disadvantage dia. Okay, this is again the do's and don'ts ni. Nampak ada satu slide je pun sebenarnya do's and don'ts ni. This is my previous experience lah, senang kata. Saya rasa saya tak payah buka video lah, mengurangkan data. Okay, so do's and don'ts. This is from our previous experience when we conduct MCQ for requirements engineering and software modeling course previous semester. Okay, so the first tips or the first do's that you need to apply, okay, when you have this MCQ as course assessment, you must train and expose to learner. Sebab ingat tak tadi kita ada constructive alignment. Okay, dekat dalam constructive alignment there is assessment, and then your assessment align back to your teaching and learning. Therefore, your teaching and learning activity for specific topics that you want to assess, okay, you should also induce the formative questions, the formative multiple choice question in your class activity. Okay, maksudnya tak boleh nanti you nak buat test tapi you never give multiple choice question pada student you. So it is unfair. Okay, maksudnya student tak biasa. Dia tak biasa buat MCQ tapi you buat sudden je dalam test. Tak boleh. So you must train and expose to learner, okay, what is multiple choice question looks like. Okay, so you can give formative. For example using Kahoot, Quizizz dan juga quiz dalam Moodle kita lah. Okay, another thing is bila kita buat multiple choice question, we must ensure that the reliability and validity issue is being sustained. Okay, so what is reliability? What is validity? Okay, ni nanti sebenarnya ada berkait dengan the how to craft the question lah for MC, for the multiple choice. Okay, validity means you ada course outcome. Lepas tu the course outcome you ada related topics that you want to assess for that course outcome. So the question must test student ability, okay, to the specific topics that you align with the course outcome. Maksudnya soalan mesti valid, maksudnya apa yang you nak tanya itulah yang you decide masa you buat course information. Okay, maksudnya bila you decide the things, the crafted multiple choice question is valid when it measures what you want to test the student ability, okay, which aspect of the course outcome dan juga levels. Tu maksud dia validity. And reliability ni maksudnya if I replicate, I have this bank of question, for example I buat mockup, okay, this question, this set of question I give to section 1, section 2, section 3, okay, all sections that sit the same set of question, okay, result dia macam curve bell tu lah. Dan juga dia maksudnya dia everyone understood and successfully perform the exam that based on the MCQ tadi. Itu ialah reliability. Maksudnya bila reliable ni kita replicate the same question to others in different sampling, dia dapat result yang quite similar. Itu reliable. Kalau kita buat set question ni dekat section ni lain, lepas tu section lain dapat lain, maksudnya soalan kita tak reliable. Okay, so another do actually masa kita buat online exam kan, untuk final exam ke, untuk test ke, especially during this ERT, bukan subject ERT tapi emergency and remote teaching mode. emergency and remote teaching mode. Okay, so we must try to perform the mock-up test so that student dia familiar, okay, what are the procedure, what are the SOP that they will undergo for the real exam later on. Okay, and another do's that you need to emphasize to implement during online exam especially, okay, that override some tips from the previous literature that you the susunan the list of alternative answer tu tadi kena ada alphabetically order lah, numerically order. Dia dah tak jadi dah benda tu dekat dalam ERT ni, during ERT, sebab we want to random and also shuffle both question and the answers. Okay, tu maksudnya bila sekarang ni bila kita buat online exam during COVID ni, memang kena buat lah random dengan shuffle ni. Okay, but another tips tapi daripada perspektif don'ts lah. Okay, there is halo effect. So what is halo effect? Sometimes ni saya pun perasan juga bila kita buat soalan, we do have set of question kan. Some question give hints or clues and even answer that influence student to answer the specific question currently. Okay, kalau so dia boleh back balik previous kan. Dia boleh tengok balik, oh ini dia answer yang ni lah untuk jawapan yang the next other questions. Kan, dulu macam biasa kan bila masa kita buat secondary dengan primary school punya multiple choice question, this halo effect is normally happen tapi kita susah lah nak control, tapi kalau boleh kena control lah halo effects ni. Okay, another aspect that you need to consider bila buat multiple choice questions, okay, is the some errors lah might be occur, for example grammatical, punctuation, spelling, capitalization. Contoh punctuation ni contoh macam sepatutnya it is one tips lah dekat dalam crafting the MCQ, you must transform your stem tadi to question, kind of question, asking question, not fill in the blank, not macam cukupkan jawapan, tak. So dia punctuation tu penting dalam MCQ. Okay, that because dia seolah-olah bila kita buat MCQ kita ask the question, so bukan fill in the blanks. Okay, kita kena transform, tu tak apa, nanti saya akan explain. Lagi capitalization ni contoh dia, sometimes kita ada soalan which of the following statement is true. Lepas tu next question, which of the following question is not true. Tapi kalau saya buat Kahoot memang purposely buat not dengan kita tak cakap false pun, kita cakap not true, tapi lepas tu kita tak capitalize kan. Okay, but don't do that during summative, especially masa online. So dia macam anyaya student lah. So bear in mind lah, this error might occur bila kita buat when we prepare our MCQ. Okay, so what are the process? Since you already know the anatomy of MCQ, so now we're going to go further, how to define, how to develop our, how to craft our multiple choice question. So basically there are 4 process, okay, in construct ataupun craft kita punya MCQ type. Okay, so we have defined the stem. You know already the stem is basically the problem or the question that you want to ask. So write clearly the stem. Okay, and the second process will be you need to define and write the correct answer. So you have the problem that you want to ask as stem. Okay, so you already have in your mind what is the correct answer, right? Okay, so set kan terus the correct answer, and then list down the distractor, the alternative. Kalau lebih baik ada the closest alternative yang to the correct answer tadi. Okay, right? And then lepas tu bila dah siap satu soalan tu, you kena bagi dekat peer you. Sebab tu masa our previous experience, we do discuss, kita buat invigilation kita sendirilah, kita buat revision among our team masa SCSJ 2253 semester lepas. Tak boleh terus bagi pada student kena bagi dekat orang lain, especially kita punya team members kat dalam course kita yang sama semester ni, to read our question, okay, to try to answer. Okay, so kalau lecturer pun jawab salah, so maksudnya ada masalah lah kat situ. Okay, boleh So this tips actually is about those lah juga kan, when you have the STEM. Okay, so make sure you construct an effective STEM. Effective patutnya kat situ saya boldkan. Effective tu maksudnya dia clear, direct, not cosmetic. Nanti saya tunjukkan contoh kat mana dia jadi cosmetic. Okay, kemudian again saya cakap tadi, STEM is basically the problem that you want to ask, okay, to your student that provide certain answer kan. Okay, mesti dia ada problem yang clear, back to the topic mana yang you nak ask, that you want to measure the ability of the student. Okay, and again you must cover the relevant scope lah, that focus on the learning outcome. There goes the constructive alignment. Okay, in order for you to maintain the reliability and the validity issue just now. Okay, when you have a question, okay, when you have a question as a STEM, okay, maksud saya kat sini define the STEM, question STEM ni maksudnya STEM kita tadi berbentuk question, bukan partial sentence. Therefore when we have STEM, tadi question kita dia mestilah ends with a question mark. Okay, that is the do's lah sepatutnya. Okay, so avoid buat STEM, buat soalan yang dia kena isi tempat kosong sebenarnya. Okay, alright, kita tengok contoh. Ni kita tadi, okay, saya kata when you want to define the STEM must be effective kan. So between question 1 and question 2, which one you think has meaningful STEM? STEM sahaja STEM sahaja untuk question 1 dengan question 2. Cuba jawab dekat dalam chat. Question 1 ke question 2 that you think has meaningful STEM? Pandai dah. Tak payah ajar lah. Dah ramai yang betul semua. Okay. Kenapa question 1 tak meaningful? Ada yang nak angkat tangan, nak jawab. Why question 1 is not so meaningful? Tapi sometimes kita buat tau, this question. Ini pun saya belajar jugalah. Lepas ni kalau nak prepare questions MCQ, kita kena betulkan balik lah. Okay, kalau we want to ask whether the statement is true or not, kita tak boleh buat tanya macam ni. Kita direct. Sebenarnya kenapa question 1 is not meaningful? Because okay, dia tak valid. Dia tak valid. Kan tadi saya kata dia sepatutnya present definite problem kan. So what are the problem that you want to ask to your student? So give context. So question 2 give context. What characteristic? Kan dia nampak problem dia clear kan. Okay, then you give the options. Right? So soalan 1 tu dia tak meaningful. Jadi the first step, you must have meaningful STEM for multiple choice question. Okay. Ni pula ni cosmetic. Nampak tak kat mana cosmetic dia? Irrelevant material ni. Kan? Kita nampak dia banyak sangat cosmetic. Bla 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 bla, tapi apa je yang dia nak tanya sebenarnya what characteristic ni. Nampak tak? So this is cosmetic. Betul. Kadang-kadang kita ada previously, sebab kita limited bank of question kan, kita ada banyak true false. So kita boleh creatively convert the true false tu kepada Cik Anita ada cakap kat sini kan. Dulu kita ada true false kan, tapi kita nak convert kepada multiple choice. Nanti bila you dah sampai at the end of this sharing session, kita boleh transform semua true false question tu kepada MCQ. Tapi ada cara lah. Cara dia STEM tu tadi mesti meaningful. Okay, lepas tu jangan ada cosmetic information. Validity and reliability tu soalan dia direct, clear on the topics that you want to ask. The purpose of that question tu dia punya problem dia kat situ lah, kosmetik tu. Okay. Ni pun sebenarnya tak bagus kalau tengok the interior blank, saya kata tadi partial sentence kan, sebenarnya tak bagus. In addition to nucleus, kita bagi blank organelles that contain DNA. So better lepas ni kita ada soalan, it happened to me juga kita orang dulu pun ada buat macam ni. Okay, so lepas ni belajarlah, kita kena transform, kita kena rephrase kita punya stem tadi, soalan kita dalam bentuk soalan. Nama pun soalan kan. So in addition to nucleus kan, yang better apa ni MCQ ni, kita tukar yang tadi tu fill in the blanks kepada bentuk soalan. Jadi dia mesti ada question mark. Okay, nampak clear Okay, so the next process is when you have the meaningful stem tadi, soalan yang direct, clear, not cosmetic, valid, okay, then you write the correct answer. Okay, the most concise ones. Right, and then lepas tu jangan ada halo effect. Halo effect ni maksudnya soalan tu give answer, give clues. Therefore the items it must be independent of one another. Okay, maksudnya items kat sini bahasa education tahu items ni maksudnya soalan. Question yang kita buat for set of question kita mestilah independent of one another. Tapi sebenarnya it's quite difficult lah bila kita buat nak buat ni sebenarnya. Okay, so saya rasa answer tak ada issues but it is the correct answer. Okay. After we have meaningful stem, lepas tu kita ada correct answer, then kita decide kita write the distractor, the alternative. Okay, the alternative ni kita mesti buat plausible alternative ataupun yang reasonable, yang persuasive enough that function as good distractor. Janganlah kita letak options of answer tu, alternative tu that is implausible. Bila dia tak persuasive, dia tak reasonable, dia jadi dysfunctional. Dysfunction ni maksudnya tak payah letak distractor tu pun tak perlu kan. Sebab kalau scorer ataupun performer students, dia definitely dia tahu dah jawapan tu salah. The alternative tu, distractor tu salah. Okay, tu dia punya tips dia lah. Lagi satu yang saya belajar adalah sebenarnya it is not good to have all of the above, none of the above, all the above mentioned dan sebagainya. Sebenarnya tak bagus. Sebab apa? Bila kita letak je all of the above and none of the above ni, it shows that it allows student with partial knowledge about that topic, that stem, that question that we want to test, okay, dia boleh easily teka lah, guess. Tapi susah kan kita suka buat kan. Biasa inilah pilihan terakhir kita akan letak kan. So mungkin lepas ni kita boleh revise lah kita punya distractor so that kita avoid all of the above dengan none of the above ni. Okay, lagi satu the distractor tu kalau boleh dia homogeneous ataupun similar. Sebab kita tak nak tadi dia jadi dysfunctional. Terlalu diverse kan. Tiba-tiba distractor ni tak ada kait. There is no relation. This set of options tadi dia jadi dia jadi heterogeneous ataupun tak berkait. Very diverse, diversity dia tinggi kan. So tak bagus lah. Okay, lagi satu kita kena complex, we need to avoid the complex multiple choice items. Complex multiple choice item ni nanti saya tunjukkan. Maksudnya tiba-tiba kita ada different combinations. Ni saya tunjuk contoh je lah sekejap lagi. Okay, ni cuba tengok. Ni pun saya ambil direct je daripada Vanderbilt University tadi. Okay, implausible alternative ataupun dysfunctional. Ni very subject to context specific for this subject lah. Who gathered the data that ni bla 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 bla. Lepas tu contohnya B dengan E ni memang tak berkait langsung dengan tak homogeneous lah. Maksudnya dia terlalu dysfunctional distractor tu. Jangan buat macam tu sebab nanti easy rater lah sebenarnya, senang je terus dapat jawapan kan. Tak boleh buat macam tu. Okay, heterogeneous content dekat dalam kita punya set of answer tu, list of options kita tu, kalau boleh macam ni pun saya tak pasti dia punya ni, tapi dia punya contoh kalau you all boleh tengok dekat sini. Okay, yang lain-lain semua sebut decrease, bukan sorry, dia sebut yang lain ni semua kejap dia kata because option A focus on different type of molecule. Ni very subject to konteks ni lah subjek ni punya. Jadi dia senang kata kalau kita bagi list of distractor tu tadi, dia boleh easily detect contoh ni terlalu spesifik kan. Saya nak kata because option A focus on different type of molecule, then item B, C and D. Okay, yang lain-lain tu semua bukan kolesterol. Yang lain tu semua membran. Macam tu. Okay, dan juga nampak tak dekat complex multiple choice ni example dia, who receive Nobel Prize bla 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 bla, lepas tu tiba-tiba kita buat D, E, F tu A and B, B and C, A and C. Ni macam dah tak ada idea lah nak buat distractor. Okay, so it is not should be avoided lah. Okay, when we have this complex multiple choice. Okay, nampak so we have different combination. Alright, so then ni satu lagi. This is another example of complex items. Complex multiple choice of distractor. Okay, ni pun tak berapa. Cuba tengok kat sini. Katakanlah dia bagi senario. Okay, ni daripada Dr. Adibah punya slide. Okay, kita kata kurang daripada RM10, kurang daripada RM12, lebih daripada RM10, lebih daripada RM12. So jawapan dia sepatutnya RM13. Seolah-olah macam C dengan D tu sama kan, sebab RM10 pun range dia kan 13 tu berada di lebih C dan juga D. Sorry kalau international lah ambil sebab saya tak sempat lah ambil contoh. But what we can say here, okay, don't define or don't write your distractor, okay, to be complex lah. Okay, the range pun mesti betul. Okay, so tu fungsi distractor. Ni satu lagi saya rasa tak jadi masalah lah zaman bila kita dekat online sekarang ni, kita ada memang beginilah jawapan kita kan, kita biasa buat kan, dia turun ke bawah lah kan, tak adalah kejap dia A macam ni, kiri ke kanan. Okay, dulu-dulu kot ada kalau kita buat manual paper and pen kan, dia ada kanan ke kiri, left to right, the list of options. Okay, so the good one must have, mungkin kita set kat dalam e-learning macam tu kan, mungkin ni secara HCI je lah dia punya apa ni, estetik dia ke kan, so buat daripada atas ke bawah, susun dia. Dr. Adibah mention kat sini, okay, try to arrange the answers, the list of options from top to down. Okay, lagi satu ni, sometimes it happen kalau tengok dekat sini ada, bila kita ada buat combination of answer, combination of true statement lah for example, okay, number one exists for all alternative, for all options. Okay, so tak payah ada number one pun tak apalah maksudnya, because number one is not good distractor. Tu maksud dia. Okay, boleh that is all about the distractor. Okay, ni yang saya tengok Dr. Razia ada ni. Dr. Razia ingat tak yang kita terpaksa kita buat dry run the mock test, lepas tu kita juga ada buat bila kita sit together kan hari Jumaat pagi kan, checkkan balik semula kita punya set of question tadi. Dr. Shaliza punya soalan saya faham ke tak, Dr. Razia faham ke tak soalan saya. So we need to have that process lah where we review and revise among each other. Okay, in order to ensure our reliability and validity issue tadi being counter lah. Okay, check balik ada punctuation, errors tu semua kena tengok balik semula lah. And the first, the important one, kita kena dry run the mock test to our student. So dia familiar dengan condition ataupun SOP, prosedur yang kita try cakap. Contohnya kita kata sebenarnya pukul 9 o'clock actually the exam start, tapi kita suruh dia online dekat e-learning tu masuk pukul 8.30, take attendance semua. So kita kena buat run tu. It's not about the answering the question itself tau, tapi maksudnya macam mana dia sit the whole session of the exam. Okay, so that is the 4 steps in development of MCQ ataupun crafting. Saya rasa clear. Ada soalan tak? Dr. Syahrin, kalau saya sebenarnya bila saya buka slide, saya dah tak nampak chat tau, tapi kalau ada soalan nak unmute pun tak apa.
Saya ada record soalan, nanti at the end nanti saya boleh papa balik dekat sini.
Kalau kata berkait terus dengan slide tu boleh ni lah, interrupt saya saja. Okay. Alright. So ni so now tadi ramai yang nak tahu macam mana kita develop MCQ that align with Bloom's. Kan? Okay, so first and foremost you have to recap balik semula lah. Bloom taxonomy ni kadang-kadang jadi macam confused kan, tapi bila kita buat MCQ lagi nampak confused tau sebenarnya. Dan dia lagi suka sebenarnya when we want to craft the question based on Bloom ni sebenarnya. Because some kita akan adalah school of thought that you think that it is understand sahaja, tapi orang rasa dia apply. Dan you rasa soalan tu dah analyse, tapi sebenarnya dia evaluate. It happen to us lah, sebab bila saya tengok balik, bila saya baca buat literature semula, review balik, rupanya soalan kita orang ni memang higher order thinking lah sebenarnya. So tadi ada yang nak tahu kan, HOTS kan. So memang kita boleh buat HOTS menggunakan Bloom's, align to Bloom's lah. Okay, just to recap siapa yang tak familiar, saya rasa should be you familiar with lah. Okay, we have 6 level of Bloom's from bottom to up. So we have this lowest level, remember. Okay, so this is lower order thinking skill. We have understand, we have apply, analyze, evaluate and create. Okay, so yang paling atas ni biasanya dia quote C3 and above lah. Biasanya C3, apply, C4, C5. And again, it depends on your course lah. Bila kita decide kita punya course kita C4 is the highest. So C4 is basically the higher order lah untuk course kita. Okay, it's okay. Tapi nanti saya tunjukkan. So how to set sekarang ni tadi. Okay, this is how macam nak kata, this is the basic one. You need to understand that we have this 6 level of Bloom's. Okay, right. Jadi sekarang kita nak buat soalan tadi, kita nak buat test ni. Soalan test kita untuk for our subject, okay, should be craft based on our decision when we set our course information, our course structure dan juga kita punya test specification. Okay, so saya buat kat sini, ini daripada pengamatan saya lah, from my observation from our previous experience masa semester lepas. We have to decide marks and duration for our test, for example midterm examination. Then we need to specify or prepare the table for test specification, or sometimes they quote as test blueprint. Okay, so test blueprint ni dia ada specification sebenarnya for that particular assessment. So kalau kita ada buat midterm exam, so kita kena ada midterm test blueprint. So kalau kita ada final exam, kita kena ada final exam test blueprint. So actually benda tu dia jadi quality documentation lah sebenarnya. Okay, then the third step is basically you draft the question bank. Then from bila you dah draft questions tu tadi, you go back and update your test blueprint. TB is test blueprint bukan penyakit TB kat situ. Okay, and then you again macam tadi bila kita dah buat soalan, kita kena review, peer review dan juga revise. Okay, let's see Okay, first kita decide marks and duration. Kan bila kita start semester kan kita ada course information kan. Okay, dalam course information, this is course information, the latest course information for system analysis and design. Okay, kita ada CLO, course learning outcome. Okay, CLO 1, lepas tu kita ada PLO, lepas tu kita ada set what are the Bloom's, what are the taxonomy that we set to this particular to the listed course learning outcome lah. Then kita ada assessment method. Kan kita dah decide kan sebenarnya tadi, the first step is you decide marks. Okay, so you already decide actually. You decide that your midterm exam sekarang in the context of sekarang saya nak buat MCQ kan, multiple choice question for my midterm. So 15%. Okay, so my midterm exam align to this course learning outcome 1 dan level belum dia adalah C4. Okay, right. So then saya sebut tadi sini dia C4, so the C4 will basically be the highest order thinking for my course. Okay, so since saya ada C4, okay, so C4 ialah mastery level for this specific course bukan nanti jangan quote pula slide saya ni C4 ni paling highest. Tidak, dia sebenarnya untuk this course, untuk SCD, SC, CD 2613. Okay, so cognitive level yang paling tinggi adalah C4, jadi dia adalah hot. Okay, for the lots, lower order thinking, kita ada the rest yang ke bawah dia itulah C1, C2, C3. Okay, kenapa sebenarnya dulu-dulu kita tak perasan benda ni, sekarang kita baru perasan sebab bila kita specify this lot and hot, we actually want to ensure that kan kita ada bila kita at the end of the semester kita come out dengan course assessment report kan kita nak tengok grading dia, lepas tu ada bentuk loceng tu kan, curve bell tu kan, untuk report the student assessment punya throughout the whole semester untuk one class. Jadi one class ni dia punya performance dia tu, kita nak kalau boleh student yang performer ni ada, dan juga student yang tak perform, kalau tak perform maksudnya dia average, boleh capai. Okay, sebab tu kita consider lots and hot ni. Okay, so in our case for SCCD 2613 System Analysis and Design, where we specify C4 as the highest level for mastery. Okay, therefore C1, C2 and C3 dia ke bawah lah untuk lot. Okay, in order to be fair for lot and hot, kita letak tadi kan berapa persen? Saya kata 15%. Jadi 7.5% for lot and 7.5% for hot, which is contribution mark daripada define mark kita tadi 50% for 50%. Okay, so then kita decide, saya kata tadi next step adalah kita set duration kan. Kita nak set duration. The duration should be kita setkan lah based on berapa question that we want to craft, that we decided for lot and hot. Okay, for example macam ni. Lepas tu 20 minutes, we decided that, for example we decide that for lots we will have 20 question and hot we have 10 question. Okay, so basically roughly dia ada 1 minit per question untuk lot, okay, so 20 minutes. Tapi hot kita kata 1.5, ni daripada guideline UTM, 1.5 minutes per question. But this is in normal situation tau, manual paper and pen. Okay, having online exam kita kena consider banyak lah. Kita kena consider student tu kena klik button back, next, previous, lepas tu dia kena whatever lah. So kita boleh tingkatkan jika perlu. Okay, kalau semester lepas kami buat 2 minit sebenarnya untuk lot. Tak silap kita orang buat dulu 2 minit untuk lot. Tapi untuk hot kita kata 4 minit sebab memang hot lah soalan kita. Okay, alright. Boleh ni, faham So, okay, lepas tu step 2 sebenarnya saya selalu saya remind diri saya lah, sebenarnya bila kita buat test specification earlier, we don't reverse engineer. Okay, norm practice before pandemic, before online teaching, before online mode ni, kita buat soalan dulu kan, lepas tu kita isi table, betul tak? But now bila kita ada very systematic we are pressure lah sebenarnya to do proper way during pandemic ni, sebenarnya kita kena prepare test specification dulu, test blueprint ni dulu, baru kita buat soalan. Dr. Syarin lepas ni kita discuss untuk subjek kita. Okay, so this is basically the test specification or the blueprint template. Okay, so you ada course code, credit, type of question ni. Ni contoh dia lah, saya bagi contoh terus. Okay, so ni kita ada CLO. Tadi CLO kita berkait dengan dekat course information kita yang untuk test sahaja, yang memang untuk summative, yang untuk kita punya test tadi kan. Lepas tu topics that we cover for this particular examination. How many weeks we spend? Okay, saya tunjukkan dia punya calculation dia lah. So we will have this weeks, normally is duration, tak semestinya week. Kalau kita consider hours pun boleh. Okay, so for example CLO 1 kita cover topik 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so week kita table out kan lah. Okay, weightage tu sebenarnya adalah spend time. Kalau kita week, macam ni saya buat week kan, sepatutnya di duration So kalau duration kita week, therefore spend week bahagi dengan total week yang kita dapat, okay, darab dengan 100. So kita akan dapat total individual weight for each topic. Weightage dia berapa. Dulu kita tak buat kan, kita main buat je soalan lepas tu kita table. Betul tak? Saya tak tahulah School of Computing punya practice kadang-kadang dia ada macam tu. Okay, number of items ni pula, nampak tak? Number of items ni sebenarnya number of questions. Tadi saya katakan in education, items ni sebenarnya adalah number of questions that you want to craft, that you want to prepare for that particular topics. Okay, and then the Bloom level. Okay, ni so saya ambil contoh, saya dah tolong dah Dr. Syarin. Ni saja je dia punya table ni lah specification dia. Okay, kita ada this is for midterm exam. Our future midterm exam. Okay, 3 kredit kita decide, contohnya saya decide tadi total items, total question total item ni maksudnya total question is 20 question. 20 multiple choice question sahaja untuk part 1. Okay, so basically sebenarnya kat sini 20 ni adalah tadi kan kita kata 20 question untuk lot, hot 10 question. Jadi lot ni biasanya kita buat division lah masa kita buat exam. Lot ni paper 1, hot ni paper 2. Okay, so student ada masa break nanti habis lot, habis paper 1, 20 soalan, bagi 10 minit break, then dia buat paper 2 untuk hot. Okay, so contoh saya ni adalah untuk paper 1, paper 1 for lot. Therefore dia ada 20 questions. Okay, so untuk midterm kami hanya align the course learning outcome 1 is aligned to the midterm exam 15% tadi. Okay, so let's say saya ada table yang macam ni. So topik 1, 2, 3, 4. So how much we spend for that topic. Tengok balik dalam CI, topik 1 week, topik 2 2 weeks, topik 3 2 weeks, topik 4 2 weeks. So total for midterm sahaja kita spend about 7 weeks. Okay, therefore weightage untuk each topic to be covered is basically 4.3. Macam mana dapat weightage tadi? Okay, spend week bahagi total week. So tadi saya ada topik 1 week only. So saya 1 bahagi 7 darab 100% dialah 14.3%. The weightage dia. Maksudnya topik 1 weightage dia untuk this midterm exam is 14.3. Okay, and then for topic 1 should be you craft 3 questions. 3 multiple choice question for topic 1. 6 multiple choice question for topic 2. Based on this formula, based on this test blueprint. Nampak tak? Daripada sini baru kita letak PIC, person in charge. Okay, so nampak, so tak adalah kita letak lepas ni satu topik tu bias, banyak soalan untuk topik tu. Tapi some other topics kita tak ada pemberat yang betul. So bila buat macam ni, apa yang you spend time dekat CI align balik dengan apa yang you assess. Okay, so kalau something wrong, kita betulkan balik je lah course information kita, course CI kita. Okay, ni clear Okay, so saya boleh saya sekejap, saya tunjukkan contoh Excel sajalah. Stop. Window. This is okay. So daripada table tadi, okay. So ini plan untuk do you want open recovered alamak. Okay. So katakan ini saya buat this is the table specification tadilah. Okay, so topik 1 span week dia 1, weightage dia berapa, nampak tak? Jangan type kat chat kalau boleh unmute je sebab saya dah tak nampak dah chat tu. Sebab bila pakai ni dia dah tak nampak. Okay, so topik 1 span week 1 14.3 weightage dia, so dia akan ada 3 soalan. So sekarang kita dah tahu 3 soalan ni adalah lot tau. Lot kan? Jadi kita boleh kata ni patutnya hari tu saya ada warnakan. So kalau macam tu kita warnakan terus. Kita kena tahu untuk paper 1 kita cover sampai C3 sahaja. Sebab tadi kan saya C4 kan, hot kan. Jadi paper 1 adalah sampai ke C3 sahaja. Jadi sebenarnya kita boleh decide lah kita nak buat soalan remember ke, understand berapa, satu contohnya. Kita boleh decide to that level. Okay, kalau tak kita craft reverse engineer. Kalau 6 ni mungkin 2. Sekejap saya tengok kenapa saya punya file ni auto recovered. Okay. Saya betulkan semula. Sebab hari tu saya restart PC ni. Dia dah jadi version. Tak apalah. Okay. So ni contoh dia. Boleh tak? So tadi kita kata kita punya test align to CLO1, C4, okay. Lepas tu topik yang masuk, okay. So ada span week, duration, total is 7. So kita dapat total ni, lepas tu kita tablekan. Ni yang kita plan. Kalau kita tak nak plan pun boleh juga. Katakanlah kita tak boleh nak fikir soalan kan, kita buat soalan dulu tapi make sure soalan tu level lot lah. Iaitu sampai C3 untuk contoh di subjek. Okay, ni kita menipu je ni, letak je dulu. Tapi boleh juga kalau kita buat macam ni kita dah boleh agak lah kan, kita boleh kira terus berapa soalan kita punya distribution tu, dia fair enough lah. Okay, so inilah table specification yang kita saya tak praktis lah benda ni. Dah lama jadi course coordinator pun tak praktis benda ni. Okay, so ni kalau tengok paper 2 pula, dia dekat analyze sahaja. Analyze tu dia jadi nampak. So kita nampak dah topik mana yang kita patut decide lah, craft. So topik 1 3 soalan, analyze level. Topik 2 3 soalan. Okay, boleh? Okay. So saya stop sharing, saya pergi balik dekat saya punya ni. Ke window, cancel, present, restart. Okay, tu ialah test blueprint. Okay, so bila kita dah dapat dia punya estimation ni, contohnya kita decide kan berapa tadi, 3, 1, 1, 1 kita nak buat soalan. So, dan kita draft lah question bank tu, kita buatlah soalan. Okay, so lepas tu kita buat, tips dia adalah saya daripada table from test blueprint tadi, kita transfer to one specific document or spreadsheet. Contohnya Microsoft Word. Kalau kita buat secara online, kita ada set ataupun assign to many person in charge, involve for similar topics kan tadi, kita buat secara kolaboratif supaya tak ada soalan yang sama kan. Kita buatlah kolaboratif dekat Google Doc ke apa-apalah, tapi kita kena set password contohnya. Okay, so dekat sini kita dah nampak contoh yang saya buat ni untuk topik 1, kita dah decide 3 soalan. Sebenarnya kita dah boleh letak set-set lah. Belum kat sini 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Kita kena letak lah. Jadi kita nampak taburan tu serta-merta. Okay, dan it's good to have juga kalau kita buat satu lagi template Okay, dia dah ada siap dah. Ada A, B, C, D sebab nanti bila dah buat ramai-ramai, okay, kejap orang tu buat A huruf kecil, B huruf kecil dan sebagainya kan. Tapi ni bila kita transform to the e-learning nanti, soalan biasanya dah tak perlu buat lah kecuali you all buat icon format. Okay, so nampak kat sini dia ada stem, dia ada list of option, lepas tu answer siap-siap. Lepas tu setkan terus belum apa. Okay, so this is the second step when you want to draft the questions. Buat soalan kat dalam question bank lah. Okay, so sekarang ni bila you nampak kat sini you kena buat 3. Okay, remember that we will random and shuffle the question. Takkanlah kita buat 3 soalan aja. Kita ada 300 student. So lagi ramai lecturer ajar kan for that particular subject. So assign kepada ramai 2-3 orang. Jadi bila buat kolaboratif, kat sini tak ada redundant soalan yang similar. Okay, so boleh set lah kat sini. Ni 6 soalan topik tu. Sebenarnya tadi patut saya letak terus topik 2 ni berapa tadi, belum kan kita kata 1, 2, 2. Jadi kita letak C1, C2, C3 ni dekat dalam table tu, terus letak C1, C2, C3 lagi cepat. Okay, so lagi patutnya dekat sini dekat belum ni kita letak terus berapa yang kita expect. Jadi kita while designing, while crafting the question, okay, kita punya mental kita set terus level mana belum tu. Okay, tu satu isu lah, right? Okay, ni saya nak bagi contoh our previous experience lah dekat dalam semester lepas, masa semester lepas. We do have this MCQ example from IRAP, when we craft our question. Okay, ni contoh multiple choice question from CPRE, CPRE exam. So CPRE is Certified Professional for Requirements Engineering, IRAP is International Requirements Engineering Board. Okay, kalau ikut perspektif yang tadi saya ada explain the meaningful stem lah, the distractor dan sebagainya. Okay, IRAP ni dia provide this CPRE exam, Certified Professional for Requirements Engineering. Our course sebenarnya ada certification lah. Okay, kalau student nak bayar. Dulu-dulu kita dapat free daripada we being sponsored by the government, student kita boleh sit for the CPRE. Okay, but now kalau kita tengok CPRE ni, dia sendiri ada type of questions. Dia ada single choice, tengok kat sini dia ada A question. Dia boleh buat macam ni yang tadi Dr. Cik Anita kata nak buat true false kan. Tapi dia boleh buat begitu caranya. Lagi satu set, dia panggil multiple choice tapi sebenarnya tadi multiple choice juga. Tapi dia panggil P question. P question ni maksudnya dia suruh dia bagi diagram, okay? Dia bagi satu contoh model, lepas tu dia suruh pilih lah. So name the 2 types of diagram. Sebab dia multiple choice tapi dia boleh pilih lebih daripada satu. Okay, can happen also dekat dalam multiple choice question kita. Okay, and you can decide different marks lah. Right, another example, yang ini dia panggil K questions. K type ni sangat kompleks lah sebenarnya. Okay, dia ada true false, dia bagi banyak statement, dia buat true false macam ni kan. Tapi sebenarnya quite confusing lah. Tapi dia jadi kompleks tu sebab apa? Kalau dia salah tick tak dapat markah, macam tu. Contoh scoring dia kan ada beza kat sini. Correctly check statement, okay, incorrect dapat kosong terus. Both correct dapat berapa, macam tu. Okay, tapi we actually don't follow this format lah. Tapi it can happen, maksudnya dekat dalam certification ada je MCQ dengan beberapa perspektif lah cara implementation dia. Okay, boleh tak? Ada soalan so far? Betul. Ni Puan Rozilawati, untuk lots ada satu table, TB, hots pun kena ada satu TB. Okay, sebab kita nak mudahkan weightage calculation, betul. Okay. Right. Tu So ni saya nak pergi kepada contoh-contoh lah. Contoh soalan berdasarkan Bloom level. Okay, so you can have this detail lah. Macam mana ada contoh-contoh soalan yang scenario based that lead to the higher order thinking skills. So daripada apply, analyze, evaluating and creating ni sebenarnya higher order thinking bila kita nak buat dalam MCQ. Okay, so we have this. Kalau soalan kita to remember so like remember, recall, okay, itu adalah level 1. Okay, tapi kalau dia need to discuss further, understand the situation tu adalah understanding, making sense. Dia boleh paraphrase lah. Okay, dia boleh interpret situation, contohnya from the information stated, it is understand C2 level. Okay, but if you do have scenario, okay, you give some situation, okay, then you ask what other situation can happen. To apply. Okay. Ataupun saya rasa saya bagi contoh lah yang ini. Sekejap Okay, this is basically our example lah untuk semester lepas. Ni contoh dia. Very direct contohnya, which dia recall lah, which of the following is not a type. I don't, ni saya tak sempat betulkan lagi based on teori-teori yang kita dah belajar tadi. Tapi yang mana saya boleh betulkan based on the do's and don'ts tadi, saya dah cuba betulkan lah. Tetapi contoh ada do's and ada don'ts yang dia kata you should have alphabetically order for the options. Tapi saya rasa dah tak perlu sebab kita akan buat random dengan shuffle bila kita buat secara online kan. Okay, so ni direct. Okay, which of the following is not a type? Dekat mana tadi saya kurangkan error, not ni dia saya capitalizekan, saya bold. Okay, dia direct. Memang dia direct sahaja, tak ada apa-apa, dia recall sahaja. Recall the concept, kalau kita nak bagi definition kan, lepas tu dia recall sahaja. That kind of question will be the first level, remembering. Okay. So, boleh kena tengok lama lagi. Tak ada kan? Remembering ni senang aja. Maksudnya dia recall the concept. Kalau understanding, okay, which of the following statement is false regarding the glossary? Okay, dia jadi understand because of we do have examples where actually dia sebenarnya bila dia baca tu dia kena explain betul ke tak ni. Dia kena understand, dia kena explain whether the statement is correct or not. Not just by remembering the fact kan. So dia jadi understand. Okay, boleh? You all kena venture lah, kena try buat dan you boleh ni. Okay, ni actually dia apply. Nampak macam dia simple kan soalan ni. Tapi bila based on the literature bila kita back to this yang daripada sini ni, bila tengok balik summary of apply kat sini, you use information in a new but similar situation kan, where you can sketch, when you diagram, you make chart, you draw conclusion, it is applying. Okay, so applying level 3, the Kano model describe blah 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 blah. So what is the best elicitation technique? Ni very specific lah untuk subject requirements engineering yang dahulu. Okay, so you all mungkin, so nanti for your subject, for your course, you give some situation, you do have one situation, then you require generalization about certain condition. So that student can produce the solution. Tu dia jadi apply. Bila tadi soalan remembering tadi kita boleh tanya what je kan. Tapi bila kita dah masuk higher order lagi, apply tu kita bagi situation. Kita bagi satu situation atau condition ataupun scenario, then kita ask them to draw conclusion, give some solution based on the list of option. Tu dia jadi apply. Okay, analyze ni pula. Okay, analyze ni bila kita bagi dia scenario. Okay, dia kena observe lah, dia kena examine, dia kena differentiate, distinguish. Kalau dia perlu prioritize, dia akan prioritize, dia organize information dia. Tapi kita kena ada some rangsangan. Tadi kan saya ada bagikan contoh dia kan, rangsangan kan. Rangsangan tu berbentuk senario. Kita bagi case study, kita bagi problems, kita bagi situation. Then we ask them to examine. It is analyzing actually. For that situation. Okay. Boleh? Ada soalan tak? Tak apalah, nanti sekejap lagi tanya. Okay. Ni evaluating tau sebenarnya. Bila tengok balik, walaupun nampak macam senang, sebab instead of kita bagi direct macam ni, A, B, C, D, tapi lepas tu kita suruh dia evaluate which one is correct. Okay, lepas tu kita ada senario pula kat sini. So evaluating is basically the synthesizing concept kan. Bila dia evaluate tu maksudnya dia boleh judge senario tu. Lepas tu dia boleh criticize. Oh ini betul. Betul lah ni. Use case 1 ni. So dia jadi evaluating sebenarnya. So masa kita nak bagi kat sini 2 minit ke? Tak boleh kan? 1.5 minit tak boleh kan? So kita orang bagi 4 minit. Bukan nak pandai-pandai lah, tapi maksudnya dengan ada model rangsangan ni lagi kan. Rangsangan in English apa Dr. Syarin, rangsangan?
Stimulation is it?
Sorry?
Stimulation ke?
Stimulation, sorry. Thank you. Stimulation. Stimulation is scenario, short case kan, situation, diagram, calculation, model kan. Lepas tu dia kena evaluate the condition. When you induce other situation ataupun kita replicate dia. Okay? Nampak tak? Ni tadi, lepas tu kita suruh dia evaluate pula the situation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ni sebenarnya apa yang betul pula? False. Pol ni salah kan? Nampak tak? False ni patutnya saya buat dia kena bold. Dah betul dah capital. Tapi tak bold. Kalau baca tadi saya tak baca betul-betul, mungkin saya nampak true tau. Okay. Ni create sebenarnya. Kita bagi situation, lepas tu kita suruh dia suggest the best solution for the stated problems. Lepas tu ada pula list of answer yang mana pula betul. It is actually you replicate the situation, you ask student to evaluate the situation ataupun calculation tu, model tu, case study tu. Lepas tu you provide list of option that produce solution for other situation. Macam tu. Tapi rupanya sampai kita boleh buat lah sebenarnya to this level bila kita buat multiple choice question. Okay? So saya rasa the stimulation tu penting. Stimulation tu it helps for the HOTS tu lah. Dekat apply, analyze. Apply ni boleh lagi lah. Saya rasa analyzing, evaluating and creating ni memang perlukan scenario base, perlukan higher calculation ke situation kan. We give some problem solving sebenarnya dekat dalam situ. Okay? Saya rasa sampai situ je sebenarnya. Boleh banyak lah. Saya ada beberapa video yang saya refer extensively, okay, in providing this sharing session. Okay, kalau you all nak tengok yang dekat sini, general aspect of open online exam ni daripada Prof Karim. Daripada situ banyak sangat contoh-contoh how to develop, how to craft better MCQ aligned to the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, ni saya boleh sharekan lah nanti. Okay, Dr. Sarina akan upload kan nanti. Itu saja. Ada soalan?
Okay. Terima kasih Dr. Nuraini. So anyone have other question? Some of the questions yang I think yang dah diletak dekat tepi sini tadi banyak yang dah dijawab, especially masa bahagian untuk Bloom tadi kan, soalan daripada Dr. Sarina dan Dr. Siti Nurafida. So rasanya tadi dah dijawab on semasa dalam slide Bloom tadi. So is there any other questions that is related? I think this dah extensive dah, I rasa all the examples tadi. But then okay, we can open to questions. So you can unmute your mic and just ask. I think much better that way kot. So ada soalan? Rasanya Dr. Muzaffar ada soalan kot?
Ya, sebab tu saya buka. Assalamualaikum Dr. Nuraini. Saya nak tanya soalan simple je. Terima kasih banyak atas sesi hari ini. Saya rasa saya belajar banyak benda pada Dr. Nuraini pada hari ini. Saya nak tanya pasal masa tadi tu kan, tentang hot question you were assigned for 4 minutes and the lots question 2 minutes because of the online system perhaps. So what is the total duration of the exam, and then do you think it's enough for your paper?
Sebab tu kita dry run. Okay. Sekejap saya sharekan TB kita orang lah. Sekejap ya. Now window version. Okay. Ni memang kita decide if you refer to the standard guidelines from UTM punya documentation lah, untuk kita buat lot sebenarnya dia 1 minute. 1 minute considering paper, manual paper and pen for my MCQ MCQ. Okay, tapi kemudian untuk hot dia kata 1.5 minutes. Itu general standard yang ada dekat dalam guideline. Dia guideline tu maksudnya kita boleh refer lah. Kalau kita tak tahu kita refer. Tapi bila when come to our implementation, kita tengok sendiri soalan kita, boleh tak student tu jawab? Kalau macam hot tadi, boleh tak student tu jawab 2 minit? Kan? Dengan keadaan dia view screen tau. Kita akan ada screen fatigue, kita akan ada isu-isu lain lah, injury time dan sebagainya. So, bila saya punya slide tadi saya kata untuk lot, bila kita decide aja 20 question, kita times lah berapa yang kita nak decide. Okay, therefore kalau kat sini saya kata 2 minutes each. Saya kata maksudnya kita belum decide lagi lah, ni saya suggest. So depend nantilah pada everyone dekat dalam section dekat subjek ni. Okay, kita kata 2 minutes each. Ada 20 question, dia akan jadi 40 minutes duration. Tapi lepas tu bila kita set masa, saya rasa macam nak tunjuk je saya punya video yang mungkin boleh kot. Kejap saya cari saya punya sharing saya dekat kawan-kawan. Bila ni yang kami lah, Dr. Razia, Dr. Shaliza buat semester lepas bila kita set masa. Bila dia 40 question, 40 minutes, tapi kita buat dia sebenarnya 50 minit bila kita set masa. Bila kita set masa, mana? Manalah? Sekejap Boleh pula buka WhatsApp je. Alamak, nanti you all nampak lah kita orang punya conversation. Tapi tak apalah. Attack. Ni bagi menjawab Dr. Muzaffar punya query lah.
Untuk paper 1.
Wait, tak nampak.
Timing kita start pukul 9.
Sekejap Kalau kata tadi kita ada 40 minit, dekat dalam e-learning tu dia dah jadi lain.
Ini pula setting untuk paper 1. Timing kita start pukul 9. Habis 9.55, tapi paper time limit 45 minutes. Okay. Attempts allowed 1.
Sekali sahaja.
1 page. Shuffle with the question, deferred feedback. Make sure dekat review option tak ada apa-apa di tick. Masukkan restriction on attempts, password. Okay, restrict access. 8.45 dia dah boleh masuk untuk readiness checking, tapi dia tamat pada 9.55. Okay, sama waktu tamat end lah tadi. Itu saja.
Boleh tak Dr. Muzaffar? Maksudnya memang kita ada spesifik time duration tadi kita kata 40 minit kan. Tapi bila kita set dekat masa bila kita dry run tu tadi, bila kita buat mock test, kita make sure lah ada injury time, ada student boleh masuk, dia masuk je dekat dalam e-learning tu. Tapi dia tak boleh view lagi sebab kita dah setkan dah soalan akan appear pada pukul 9. Maksudnya dia nak get familiar dengan dia punya environment sahaja. Macam tu. Tapi lepas tu bila dia dah jawab 40 minit tepat, soalan akan habis. Siap tak siap dia kita setting kita tu akan menyebabkan dia submit jawapan dia punya exam dia. Kita boleh set tu semua dekat dalam e-learning. Okay, itu another session lah. Okay, tapi saya rasa ni dah banyak dah sharing daripada Dr. Nira ni. Saya dapat dia punya conclusion ni pun daripada Puan Lizawati dulu dia ada buat dia punya sharing. Ni begini bila kita nak buat sharing, nak setkan kat dalam e-learning tu. Maksudnya tadi soalan standard guideline kata satu soalan lot adalah 1 minute. Tapi kita tengok balik soalan kita kan, sesuai ke 1 minit. Kita tengok kan, kita sendiri sebab kita lah expert dalam bidang kita, subjek kita. Kita rasa 1 minit ke, tapi kalau kita nak kejam boleh juga, 30 saat pun boleh kita set kan. Tapi sekarang based on situation, guideline kata hot 1.5. Tapi kalau tengok tadi soalan level 4 ke atas, 4 and above, takkan kita nak bagi 1.5 minutes kan. 1 minit campur 30 saat 90 second, 90 second for hot. Macam tak boleh kan. Memanglah kita tak nak dia orang meniru ke apa, tapi tak sesuai lah. So saya rasa guideline membantu untuk kita setkan, tapi kita boleh bincang dengan, we can discuss the decision lah among us. Okay?
Okay. Macam mana dari segi, saya faham tu, macam mana dari segi experience student tu sendiri? Masa saya lepas kan, dia orang kelam kabut ke, ada yang tak dapat internet ke, apa masalah yang mungkin timbul lah ataupun buat masa ke?
Sebab tu masa awal semester kita kena buat entry survey dan juga kita tanya internet kan, internet connection tu memang sekarang ni kita kena tanyalah. So mana-mana pelajar yang tak ada capability lah untuk access internet, kita kena fikir cara lain. Memang tu cara dia. So alternatif dia untuk pelajar, dia kan sebenarnya kita rasa pelajar tu dia kata je dia ada masalah apa-apa kan, tapi bila kita buat test secara online ni dia orang boleh je. Dia orang akan prepare diri dia untuk to be in that setting. Maksudnya dia akan menyiapkan, dia akan prepare dia punya environment dia untuk dia sit for the online exam. Tapi we need to ask them, the internet readiness checking tu kena buat di awal semester supaya kita we identify which student have internet connection problems. So nanti yang ini, kalangan-kalangan ini kita kena bagi alternatif lain lah, WhatsApp ke, PDF ke, tu kita kena bincangkan. Tapi sekarang untuk hari ini yang kita nak setkan adalah pelajar so far bila kita buat, tak ada lagi lah. Semester lepas saya rasa Dr. Razia pun ada ni, saya tengok kita tak ada kan student yang kata dia tak boleh, internet dia tak ada, dia nak buat masuk dekat dalam e-learning. Tapi memang ada yang macam putus. Dia tiba-tiba dia sign off, tapi tu membabitkan setting kita lah. Our e-learning Moodle setting for quiz tu is very important to prevent attempts yang tak siap dan sebagainya. So kalau ada problem sahaja yang berlaku semasa online exam tu, kita minta dia screenshot. Okay. Lepas tu daripada log tu sebenarnya kita dah boleh trace diorang tau sebenarnya. Dan kita boleh set answer tadi kan dekat dalam Moodle, tapi kita boleh manually reset dia punya markah tu lah, based on kalau kata dia problem lah, based on the log.
Okay, terima kasih.
Ada apa-apa lagi soalan daripada yang lain, ataupun ada yang nak share experience ke, mana yang dah pernah especially semester lepas kan kita ramai yang dah buat online test. Ada yang nak share experience ataupun nak tanya apa-apa lagi soalan? Tak ada? Dah pukul 12 dah kot? Ada, okey.
Kan untuk kelas database ada buat exercise kan. So saya buat yang objektif, and then saya letak the question tu as picture. and then letak dekat dalam e-learning, but some students dia tak dapat tengok the full picture, hence dia akan jawab salah. So how do we know whether our picture will macam mana ya setting, sebab ada certain student nampak full, ada certain student dia tak nampak the figure tu dengan full.
Our previous experience kan, bila kita kan tadi contoh topik 1, kita kata kita akan create 3 soalan untuk topik 1, tapi kita spare ada 6. Lepas tu kan kita akan random, lepas tu kita shuffle. Lepas tu masa kita random shuffle tu pun ada soalan yang ada gambar, ada soalan yang tak ada gambar. So students that face problems during exam should contact us personally. Lepas tu dia snapshot terus soalan mana. So kita akan pergi dekat question bank kita. Kita tengok okay ni question mana, number apa. Lepas tu kita terus buka, kita start balik semula pada dia. Itu contingency plan. Sebab tu penting pelajar being informed. You need to communicate, contact the lecturer, the instructor personally. Don't ask in the examination hall, virtual examination hall kan, dekat Telegram dekat apa. So dekat yang mana problem kadang-kadang dia cakap, doktor macam soalan ni sama je dia dapat. Sebab tu penting dry run. Mock-up test tu actually just ambil balik soalan yang kita pernah bagi dalam exercise pun tak apa. Just nak supaya dia rasa macam dia is doing the exact exam lah, the real exam.
Alright. Okay.
Itulah saya rasa yang okay, ni tak. Kalau ada soalan buat tanda soalan sebab saya nak tahu ada lagi ke yang saya tak cover kan. Okay, so far nampaklah hopefully yang setting untuk online exam tu sepatutnya ada session yang lain lah. Ini pun dah 2 jam kan. Ada soalan lain, kalau tak ada boleh pergi kat menti ni, you all boleh ni lah tengok.
Nanti kita boleh request lah Dr. Nuraini untuk Dr. Nuraini, dan saya rasa ramai juga pensyarah-pensyarah daripada AC hari tu boleh share on the settings. So, saya rasa itu yang ramai yang nak tahu question setting dalam, especially dalam e-learning saya rasa ramai yang nak belajar bahagian tu, sebab betul lah kalau kita silap setting memang dah jadi masalah pula nanti kita punya exam. Dry run is important, so kita kena buat dry run nanti Dr. Nuraini.
Ya betul. Untuk saya dapat being informed by Puan Rashidah kan, subjek apa Puan Rashidah? Hari Khamis. Hari ni lah malam diorang ada test untuk hari Sabtu ni. So diorang akan dry run malam ni. Subjek apa security lah. Maksudnya diorang punya test minggu ni, this coming Saturday, but they will perform the dry run tonight. Malam tau. Tapi dulu biasa kan student sit exam malam kan.
Subjek digital logic untuk tahun 1. Malam ni diorang dry run. Saya rasa penting untuk especially student tahun 1 kot, sebab diorang memang everything is experience dalam online kan. Yang tahun kedua ke atas tu semester lepas dah ada experience. So mungkin agak ni sikit untuk diorang lah. Cuma kita kena test jugalah, make sure diorang boleh jawab soalan apa semua kan. Okay, so ada apa-apa lagi nak? Kita dah pukul 12. Saya rasa mungkin menti Dr. Nuraini ni boleh stay on je dulu, so that Dr. Nuraini boleh dapat feedback lagi tentang berkaitan dengan on this topic. So for the rest, I would like to thank everyone for attending this session. I think we have learned a lot from Dr. Nuraini, so thank you so much Dr. Nuraini. Hopefully we can have other more sessions, sharing sessions on this, especially on creating MCQ, how to create questions according to Bloom. Even though kalau bukan MCQ pun, I think we also need that that part. Okay, CEE pun dah banyak buat banyak talk, UTM Lead pun sama. So thank you so much Dr. Nuraini, and also thank you for everyone for attending. So hopefully you have fill in the attendance link. So kita akan masukkan CPD marks lah untuk you dalam ni. Okay, insyaAllah. So I think that will end our session. Thank you so much Dr. Nuraini. So I hope everyone have learned a lot today. Okay, so thank you everyone.